Welcome back to the Success Catalyst podcast. I'm your host, Nina Robert, and in every episode, I talk to successful entrepreneurs and business owners about their success journey, their goals, and sources of inspiration. And we share with you many golden nuggets and valuable tips that will help you build your dream episode by episode. My guest today is a proven leader with a wealth of experience in business growth, sales, and real estate. He has a strong track record of success and is highly sought after by companies looking to improve their performance. Kyle Baxter helps companies increase revenue, scale their business, identify and address weaknesses, and build top sales pipelines. Welcome, Kyle. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Nina, great. Man, I really appreciate you having me on. I've been so excited. Couldn't wait to get on your podcast. You're just one favorite of mine. Your mind is there. You got the great mindset. You're smart as a whip, a lot smarter than me. I love it. And I really appreciate you doing it
Oh,
and
thank you
and
so
having
much,
me on.
Kyle. I'm super excited about our conversation as well. I'm sure it's going to be brilliant. So, to start with, tell us more about your main areas of expertise.
Well, my main area is expertise. If you could put it in specifics, I'm a 10X business advisor. I partnered with Grant Cardone and Brandon Dawson about 2 years ago, and they formed Cardone Ventures, which was about the best partnership made in heaven, I would call it, because Grant's the big promotion guy, big sales guy, the U.S., and Brandon, being a serial entrepreneur that sold his last business for 151 million 77 times EBITDA, which set a record on Wall Street, which is still true to this day.
Wow.
Grant had, as far as there's 10 elements of scale, and Grant kind of mastered the first two, and Brandon came along with the other seven. So when you par those together, I mean,
Hmm.
it was a great match. And I have learned so much. I've learned a lot from Grant anyway, but I've really learned a whole lot about the growth and scaling the businesses, with Brandon. And so what we cover, we really cover, we're kind of an education company. I'm kind of an education guy. I'm an advisor, but a lot of business owners, they need the education to grow and scale the business the proper
Hmm.
way. The
Yeah.
vast majority of businesses today using a trial and error method. And
Hmm.
and and unfortunately, I've seen some businesses grow with that, but they don't survive. They collapse because the trial and error method didn't put the proper foundation in place for a business as you start growing and scaling. All these 10 elements of scale need to be in place at different breakpoints, which is a methodology Brandon came up with. There's 7 breakpoints from zero to 125 million, and there's 11 all the way to 1 billion. So all these are critical, and having them in place in sequence as you grow and scale. And so that's what we kind of do. We work with business owners. It breaks down like the nine, actually the 10 elements. Some people say it eight, depends on what Dave Brandon's talking. But it's strategy, it's marketing, it's sales, operation, finance, people, leadership, data, technology, and of course, number 10 is investment thesis. That's where all business owners probably want to do it, grow and have enough profit where they can invest and produce passive income that replaces their current income. I would think that's one of the goals of a business owner, especially when they come to exit.
Wow, I am super impressed, to be honest. I think every business in the world needs this kind of expertise, and I love passive income. This is one of my main passions. I love having income that I don't have to work hard for in terms of effort and time, because we need that effort and time to provide service. And the more income we have, the more service we can provide, and the more people we can help. So I want to know, what was the moment you knew you wanted to be an entrepreneur and build this business?
Well, let me tell you what, a little bit of my background. I'm a retired airborne ranger, combat vet, military guy, 10.5 years. Would have did 20, but body kind of got beat up and fell apart and didn't work out. That's okay. We always move forward. Then I was a certified journeyman electrician for a while after I got out of the military, and then I went into manufacturing, automotive manufacturing. I did it for about 16 years. Well, prior to that, even as a kid, I wanted to be this really rich guy, and not for the sake of being rich, because the kids, you don't really know what you're talking about. But what I would see on TV and different things, where here was these really financially successful people, and they got to do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do it. And they didn't have mom, dad, and everybody else telling them what to do. As a kid, that's great. Of course, we don't know. And so that was kind of my journey where it started. And of course, my whole journey through then, the military and all that stuff, you're not going to get rich being in the military. I can tell you that for a fact. The electrician job, that's fine, made good money. And then in the manufacturing world, you can, but it's glass ceilings. Vast majority,
Mm.
the companies have glass ceilings. You're limited as far as your financial future. And so I got tired, probably like your typical business owner today, because not all business owners are actually entrepreneurs, and I don't think anything bad about that. But the typical definition, typical entrepreneur, is developing or come up with this idea that's going to be really save the world or change, make massive change out there in the industry. And so
Mm-hmm.
they invest, everything, take all the risks to do it. And well, actually, about 98% of your typical business owners are not necessarily entrepreneurs. They're kind of like I was. Why did I
Mm-hmm.
want to get into business? I got tired of having a boss. I got tired of working for incompetent people, and you've all seen it.
Oh
And I
yeah.
wanted control of my financial wherewithal. I wanted
Yeah.
to be able to consider, or determine how much money I can make or not make, what have you. And so I did that. And I was in the real estate for probably about 18 years too, and I still am real estate investor. And I was doing that uh, full time. I kind of retired out of the W-2 world probably about 6 years ago, and I was already doing real estate part time. Went to it full time, and it was doing pretty well till COVID hit. And
Oh.
of course, COVID destroyed my momentum. And so I'm like, "Oh, I got to figure this out, And then that's where I got a phone call one day and got the opportunity to first partner up with Grant Cardone to become a what they call a Grant Cardone licensee, which is now considered a 10x business coach. And that's where you get able to use Grant's brand and his
Mm-hmm.
products, his sales system, all that stuff, and put it out to the world. Because Grant's goal is to impact 8.5 billion people on this earth, and that's one way to do it, through licensees. So I did that to kind of supplement my real estate as we're getting through COVID and all that stuff. And then that's at the point where Brandon and Grant came in and partnered up, created Cardone Ventures. So they talked about this new program they had, which is a franchise, is becoming a 10x business advisor. I said, I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I got to do? I'm in. I gotta have this. To me, that was like the thing I'd been looking for my entire career. What is that one magic thing, if you want to call it that, or the magic bullet that's going to get me to where I want to be? And this is it. And it's not so much about the money. It's all about gaining financial freedom and total freedom. But the people you get to impact, all the business owners, because
Mm-hmm.
there's 31.5 million small mid-sized businesses in the United States today. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. And 97% of those businesses will fail within 10 years. This is statistically, it's not
Mm.
my theory or what I think. What's even worse is two-thirds will fail within 5 years. And the three largest reasons for that is one, lack of demand for product or service. Number two is, I hear this all the time from business owners, can't find good people. I get that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the third one is lack of profit or lack of capital to grow and scale. And today, out of that 31.5 million, 25 million only have one employee, which is solopreneurs, typically the owner, the founders. And
Mm-hmm.
5.3 million have, 2 to 12 employees, and there's only 600,000 businesses under $100,000 in revenue, and they have 13 or more employees. So it's like a 0.2% out of
Mm-hmm.
all that's really in that mode of growth and scale, because there's nobody helping small businesses. All businesses today, small, mid-sized, really use the trial and error method. And I get that. I did the same thing with my first business that was screwed up, because you know what you know what you don't know. It's
Mm-hmm.
what you don't know that bites you in the butt. And that impacts business owners if you don't know how to do it the proper way. And so when I got into this, it was like, wow, are you kidding me? I'm in.
Wow, I love that what you said. You don't know what you don't know. And this is why we all need mentors. Even if we have the best business idea in the world, we won't be able to scale it, or at least not easily, without a mentor, without a good business advisor. And this is where you come in. So I want to ask you something else. Um, I know a major part of being in business is learning to adapt. So, was there a moment in your business experience that you needed to adapt and change your strategy?
Well, yeah, I did. And it kind of
Mm.
relates going back a little bit when I talk about from real estate into the business coaching, that side of the house was because COVID threw a major wrench, stumbling
Mm.
block in my business as real estate. So, I could have been one of those drainers and getting the victim syndrome and poor pitiful me. Look what, the economy did, the government did, but you can't do that. No successful business owner can allow the outside noise to come in and do that, because as a business owner, you create your own economy. You really do. Some folks don't understand it, but you do. But my pivot point then was I gotta keep going. I still had bills to pay. I've got things to do. I still got goals I need to achieve. And I'm not letting some stupid COVID, you know, really put me out of business. Not gonna have it. So that's when I kind of pivoted with a business coach. I'm like, well, there's probably a lot of businesses because during COVID, that shut down the economy. Small, mid-sized businesses, very few of them were deemed, essential versus non-essential, and that impacted our economy. And so, knowing that you could make that pivot, and I did during that time as we was coming out of, I'd say, post-COVID. I was working with some businesses because they're going, I just went from being shut down for 6 months. How do I pick back up and build my business back and get it back to at least the level where I was operating at prior to COVID? And they still, had their goals to go, I'm gonna be bigger and better. So I got to working with businesses there. So that was a pivot point. I didn't let that boulder I call COVID stop me. And here's one thing I learned from Brandon Dawson, which is really good, and he calls it the three A method, and I use that to this day. When you
Mhm.
run into stumbling blocks or problems, use the three A's. First, you have to acknowledge it.
Okay.
Acknowledge you got a problem. You can be
Mhm.
mad as a hornet, mad at the world. You say it, you acknowledge it. Then what you need to do, the second A, is put actions in place to rectify it. And then the
Mhm.
third A is go in and attack it and make it disappear. And then you continue moving forward. And using that, the 3A method, I call it, has really impacted me in my business. Anytime I come across, hiccups or bumps in the road. And I think all business owners, they could use that same methodology, and it would definitely help you.
You know, what I notice is that most business owners and people in general tend to blame circumstances like COVID. Like, okay, my business shut down because of COVID, and now there's a recession, and business is harder to build and to scale. And this is why I'm not doing anything anymore. I'm going back to my 9 to 5 job, looking for stability and safety, which is really not the best thing to do because, as you said, you can make your own economy. I love that. You have the power to choose what to do on a daily basis, focus on a goal, acknowledge, take action, and adapt. And that's so such a valuable advice. I really, really love it. Thanks for sharing that, Kyle.
Hey, let me
Um,
let me add this if you don't mind, Nina, real quick on that, because let me give you another prime example of how this happened during COVID. Cardinal Ventures was started right before COVID. They'd probably been in business about 6 months. And during that time, they had 45 clients, business owners during COVID. Of course, everything shut down. Well, let
mhm,
me tell you what, to this day, every one of those businesses are still active and blowing it up because Brandon and the Grand are having these little things, doors shut, they're not supposed to have in the garage and all this stuff,
mhm.
putting things in place. And Brandon actually wrote a book for that called Emergency Business Response. And that was based out of COVID, put things in place, how you survive it. But I had to throw that in because that book, I can't believe the the information nuggets in that could have helped and saved a whole lot more businesses that really didn't come back during COVID.
Wow, I love it. So let me ask you a question now. Looking back with your amount of expertise that you have now, what's one piece of advice that you'd give your younger self starting out?
You know what? Gain the proper and correct knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because there's a lot of stuff on the internet. These all these so-called gurus. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking about? Buy
Oh
my
yeah.
book. Buy my system, $97 a month. I'll make you rich, which is all a crock. It's wrong. But get the knowledge. And then two, mentors. You need to find good mentors. And that's one thing that I lacked during my travel to the point I am today. I had some mentors, but I didn't choose the right ones. And to me, to get a really good mentor, you need to have somebody that's already accomplished where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Because if somebody making $50,000 a year or not is not going to be able to teach me how to become a millionaire, they hadn't done it.
Yeah.
That's three questions I tell all business owners before you hire anyone to help you to grow to scale your business. Three questions you need to ask. One, what's the largest amount of revenue you've ever made?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, what's the largest business you've ever grown, and quantify that by number of employees, revenue level, and profit margin. And of course, the third question I would ask them is, what's the largest exit of a business you've ever been involved in? How big was it? How much money? What was the EBITDA thing for the seller? And if the potential person can't answer those questions, that's not the person you need to be hiring.
So basically, seek advice from someone who has been where you are right now and has got what you want to have.
Absolutely, because they've already done it, been there. And most of you multimillionaires, even your billionaires, I got, Grant, and I got a few other friends that are billionaires, multimillionaires.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys will bend over backwards to help anybody. But you got to have the right mindset and be one to be committed and put actions in place. And it doesn't have to be that hard. Mentorship really can help guide you much smoother on your journey to being successful.
Wow. So now that I believe you have a specific system that you teach your clients, your students. So what kind of transformations do you see your clients achieve using that system? And do you have any success stories to share?
Lord have mercy. We could be on this podcast for hours on end. Me talk about success
I
stories,
love that.
and not necessarily the ones I've created, but part of Cardone Ventures. We together we've worked with over 4,500, almost 5,000 businesses
Hmm.
across all areas, all industries, anywhere from HVAC, plumbing, financial, insurance agencies, life coaches, you name it. And I have seen businesses when I first partnered with Grant and Brandon. I saw some businesses go from like 1 million to 5 million in 24 months, 5 million to 15 million in 36 months. I'm going, there's no way. I don't believe I'd never seen that. But I got seeing it over and over, and that really made me a true believer. And to this day, I've seen it. I've got clients now that are just blowing it up based off the strategies and the systems and the methodologies I'm giving them that I didn't develop. I wish I could take credit, but I didn't do it. Brandon developed over the last 20 years because he did all this massive research. He wanted to know why small, mid-sized businesses, why so many of them were failing. What was the catalyst behind that? So during all his research and all the money he pumped into it, he figured that out. And that was one of the things he figured was coming up with the 10 elements of scale. These are things that are critical you have to have
Hmm.
in a business to be sustainable and profitable. And I will tell you, say for instance, if you had a business that hadn't hit $1 million yet, I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. When it's usually the first question I'll ask a business owner I'm talking to, hey, what's your revenue level? And I'm not doing that being nosy. Some will look, some will lower their head, seem embarrassed. And some will say, well, tell me it's none of your business. And I'm not there to judge or prejudge anybody. But if I know the revenue level in a business advisor mind, it gives me an idea of where they are in a process of their business, of their growth and their scale. And for those guys, I tell them, I preach this is the first thing you need to master are the 4 P's. And the
Hmm.
4 P's are promote, okay, profit, process, and people. And part of the promote, it is marketing, but it's not just marketing. There's 7 promotes in the promote itself. And that's you got to promote who you are, what you do, why you do what you do, how you impact your community, your value proposition, and then why someone would want to come and join you, come join your team, be one of your employees. And then if you have employees at that point, you need to teach your employees to do the top 6 promotes. Because, guys, I'm telling you, the owner of the business cannot be the only person promoting their business. They need to have all the employees doing it and everybody. And that's part of the growth and scale process. And with those 4 P's, you've mastered the promote. when you start getting a profit, you start getting the
Mhm.
sales. You got to convert them. Well, once you mastered that, that's great. Now it's process. And this is what everybody hates. I know I do too, but it's part of it. You got to do it. You need to document what your promotion, how you did your promotes, where you got your pipeline filled, clients coming in, prospective clients or, or customers. And then you document it, the process, then the profit. What did you use? What was your sales process to close those deals? And then you document it. And then the people side comes in with the fourth P. And what that means is, and I'll tell some of the smaller businesses that are under 100 million, I'm sorry, under $1 million in revenue, that typically, technically,
Mhm.
until you as a solopreneur have got to, or you have hit 250,000 in revenue by yourself, you don't need to hire anybody. And a lot of them look like, what do you mean? And it's true. And the reason behind that is the average solopreneur, is probably, if you're at say $150,000 a year, you're probably paying yourself about $65,000, $70,000. You're
Mm.
paying yourself, a check, but you really don't have any profit. But so at 250,000, you're making enough where you can hire two more people with your processes that you documented. You onboard them, train them, and all you're doing is duplicating yourself. So now, as a solopreneur making $250,000, you've duplicated it two more times. There's three of you. Now you're at 750,000. Look how much closer you are to that $1 million mark. And then you just expand from that. Each one of the two you hired, add three to them, the rule of three, 3, 6, 9, 12, till you get to 20, some odd, or 200, wherever you want to get to. And that's the process. But if you master those, that will get you the $1 million mark or further. And be quite honest with you, I'll tell people you really need to get past the $3 million mark just to get out of the startup phase, because the break points are 0 to 3 million, break point one. Break point two is 3 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 15, on up the ladder. But those are critical, and especially for the first starting out. But even though you've mastered those, as you grow your business at different break points, you those are still a priority. They just become in a larger scale.
Mhm. And then it gets easier to scale once you have the clear process. I think processes are crucial to any business growth. I cannot stress that more, but I've lived it. I've been corporate employee for more than a decade. I've been a manager. I had teams of project managers and consultants, and every time I'm not there, somebody would just get stuck, and I'm the only person who knows how to unstuck the situation. And it doesn't work because I want to have a few weeks of vacation. I have to, I don't know, do something else, just enjoy other parts of my job. I don't have to do the same thing over and over again. And even now, starting my business, eventually I will scale it. I will need processes so that my employees, my team can do the things that I can do without me having to be present all the time. If the business is depending on my presence, it cannot go that far.
You're absolutely right. You know what, you hit on a key point right there, and I push this out to a lot of business owners every day, that the only way to grow a business, it takes people. I've talked to a
Absolutely.
business owner last week, kid you not, landscaping thing, and he had said, well, I'm sorry, not landscaping. He was pest control, and I said, hey, how many employees do you have? Well, I don't have any. He said, I don't want any employees. And I would look kind of stumped. I'm like, okay, so let me ask you a question. How do you expect to grow and scale your business without employees? It takes people to grow your business. No one on this earth has grown this humongous business by themselves. Look at Elon Musk. Look how many employees he has.
Absolutely.
Jeff Bezos, all those. It took people to do that. And of course, you have to take care of those people. You need to reward them. And as a whole system, we teach business how to do it. You need to align your employees' personal, professional, financial goals with the business's financial goals. And if you align your employees with business, as the business grows, so does the employee. Gives them
Mhm.
more opportunity. And what does that create? One, when I hear this all the time, well, I can't find good people. You know what? One thing, most businesses aren't promoting what they offer their employees. So if you've got this personal, professional, financial goal stuff lined up for your employees that you offer them, you need to tell the world about it. That'll attract good employees. And then two, if you're doing that, when you're helping an employee implement and obtain their personal goal, You know what that builds for a business owner's loyalty? That employee's not going anywhere. He's not going to move to a different job for an
Absolutely.
additional 50 cents an hour because he knows he or she in their mind, as the business grows, so can that employee grow with them. And that's where we teach companies also about the employee maturity model, where you have different steps. You know, you may come in at the ground floor, Joe Snuffy, maybe move to a team lead or a supervisor or a manager, even up to VP. They know that opportunity is there. And a lot of businesses don't do it, but if you do that, you're talking about bringing together great employees and retaining them. I mean that's what works.
I believe that promoting, learning to promote and teaching your team to promote the business is one of the main aspects of leaderships that I can think about, because being a great leader, I believe, is all about having a clear vision for the business and then being able to transfer that vision to teach that vision to your followers, to your employees, so they can have the same vision, or at least a very clear aspect of it, so they can do their best and they can believe in it and they can pursue the same goal. If everybody's in the same company is going to achieve a different goal, nobody's going anywhere. We can do just as much as we can as an individual. We forget that we are a team, and I think the energy of a team, if they are all aspiring to reach the same goal, is just going to amplify and multiply it to a huge amount of energy. I believe group energy is amazing on a personal level, but also on a professional level when everybody's has the same vision.
You know, you're absolutely correct. You hit the nail on the head. You know, when I go into businesses, it doesn't matter if they've been going 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. There's some business owners I run into, they hadn't even established their why. You know, what's their
Mm.
mission, vision, and the core values. Somebody goes, "Well, I'm not worried about that. I just worry about generating revenue." You've got to have a plan. And the plan, part of that is, what is your why? What is my mission? What am I looking to accomplish? Then the
Mhm.
vision is how I'm going to accomplish that, and how your company runs based off your core values, whether it be, you know, transparency, honesty, results driven, what have you. And what I think a lot of business owners have to do, and I had to do the same thing when I had my business, my first business. I didn't know what I was doing. Uh, you've got leadership is critical. And let me tell you, I got many years of leadership experience. Military, 10.5 years. I was, you know, manufacturing. I was probably on the floor 4 months. The rest of those 15 some odd years, I was in a leadership position. So, do I consider myself this perfect leader? Absolutely not. I continue to learn every day
Mhm.
and try to improve my leadership abilities because as a business owner, you have to be and become a great leader because it's your job to inspire your team. Okay. And you need to have the leadership capabilities to guide and help your team because that's what it's not about you, the business owner. It's about your company and your team. And it takes leadership to do that. It is critical.
I totally agree. I would also add, help them help you. That should be the motto of a good leader. I have one other question to ask you. What's one piece of advice that you'd give an aspiring entrepreneur who want to follow your footsteps?
Well, let me tell you what the first thing, and I'll tell you this is a requirement I have before I work with any business owner. And the two things you got to have is one, you got to be motivated. And I'll key
Hmm.
on that in a minute. We're really not motivated. You really got to have a good attitude. Good attitude is key. And then second, you got to be committed to what you're doing to your business, whatever it may be. Because when you come work for me, there's nobody going to be more committed to your business than I am. So if you're not, that's going to be a problem because I'm going to be on you like white on rice because I don't become successful unless you're successful. And that's what I have to have. You know that, and get the knowledge, get committed, and not only committed, almost become like Grant Cardone wrote a book about, be obsessed or average.
Hmm.
Anybody can be average, guys. Vast majority of people in the world today, middle America is average, and they're broke. Middle America is broke. The only people who's got money is the 5% or 1%ers. But we have been taught with the propaganda and also the stuff growing up to just settle. Settle for being average is okay. I'm not ever going to be average. You know, my dad told me growing up, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, work hard, save your money, and retire at 65. That is the worst advice you give any kid in
Oh
today's
yeah.
environment. Now, do I think that my dad wanted me to be unsuccessful? Absolutely not. But where'd that come from? That's his beliefs. He was brought with from my grandfather and his
Mhm.
grandfather and father, on up, and that's what it is. So you as a person or a business owner have to break that. You need to get past your past, look at the present, and focus on your future. Because a lot of people on today's issues, your decisions are made off past experiences, and they could be a lot of bad ones, and they're guiding you down the wrong path. So you have to separate yourself from the outside noise, become obsessed, you know, about what you want to accomplish,
Mhm.
set your goals, set your targets, and just bullnose right through it. Now, will you run across obstacles and stuff in your way? It is. Building a business is not easy. Nobody's ever said it is, but it doesn't have to be that hard. And it's not just passion. Passion's great, but it takes commitment and discipline. Because
Absolutely.
I said something about motivation. What motivates you? I do seminars with 100, 150 people. Can I motivate all those people? Absolutely not. Now, could I? Maybe if I knew each one individually, because everybody, requires different things and are motivated by different things. So I'm not a motivator. I could never be this motivational speaker guy. Now, can I inspire people? Absolutely. And that's what I strive to do because of the difference there is inspiring somebody to achieve what they want to achieve. That's what you need to do. But it takes personal responsibility for the motivation to come in. And then there may be days you're not motivated. So what supersedes motivation? Discipline.
Discipline. Yes.
And you got to have that in business. Commitment, discipline, and you'd be surprised how far you can go for the baseline.
Oh, I totally agree. I love this advice and I believe in it so strongly as well because I believe your attitude shapes all your results in life. Your income, your relationship status, your level of happiness, your mental and physical well being, everything is shaped by your attitude. And discipline is a big part of attitude. If you're someone who's disciplined, who's even when you don't feel like waking up and going and do all this work and facing all the challenges every day, you still have this inner dialogue that you owe it to yourself to be there, to show up, and to take action. And that's discipline. If you have an attitude of discipline, it will shape all your results and you will see things transforming in a magical way.
You're absolutely correct. And that's what a lot of, I think, small businesses will first start doing. They're really what we'll call, they're in a transactional mode.
Mhm. Oh,
So
yeah.
you got transactional, and then you move, and what you want to move into is a transformational where you take that
Mm,
business and go from transactional to a transformational
I love that.
mindset because that impacts not only the business owner, but everybody, the team's families, and your community. And that's what you're impacting.
I think the main goal for every business is to grow and expand. Whatever the business, whatever the goal, I think behind every goal, there's a strong desire for a human being to grow and to evolve. So I can only agree with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I don't mean to cut in there, but me and my mouth, I get going. But I have to say this part. When when I talk to business owners, and I'll give you a quick example. I talked to husband and wife team. They're at about 25 million in revenue, doing pretty good. This is a foundational thing, so we put that in. But when I had that discussion, the wife had said, "Well, I think we're doing okay. We're 25 million in revenue. I don't think we really need to grow any bigger." And I said, "Well, let me give you some little information to help open your eyes a little wider on that." And I said, "So hear me out. Revenue is vanity. Profit is sanity. But if you take any business, I don't care what it is, any industry, and you're going to call we're staying steady. Well, that
mhm,
steady line might as well be a line going down as failure. And here's why.
absolutely.
Every year, and it doesn't matter, you have inflation, which I know the US we've got high inflation now, but
Mhm.
typically 2 to 3%, that's just a no-brainer. It happens every year you got inflation. The cost of goods sold go up and the cost of employees. So you've got all these additional costs every year impacting your business. And if you're not creating additional revenue to cover that, where's that money coming from? Your profit. So then your profit drops down. Who wants to be at 25 million in revenue, making $1 million a year? And that was that business owner I was telling you about. That's where their profit was. when they
Mhm.
should have been between 22, 25%. They should have been putting 6.5 million in their pocket. But why were they not? Because they didn't know what they didn't know. And so we fixed that.
Oh God, yeah, it all comes back to awareness. You don't
It
know
does.
what you don't know. And this is why we need people like you, Kyle. You are absolutely needed in the business world. And can you tell us more about how we can connect with you, how we can work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go to my website, which is bigbulldogconsulting.com. And for the record, I'm not a consultant. Don't get me started there. I'm an advisor. Big difference. If you ever talk to a consultant, then come talk to me, you'll see the difference. Okay. And then you can do that. You can email me. You can give me a phone call. Uh, I'm on I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Uh, so feel free. You can go on any of those and click. And I will also supply you with some links you can add to this, under the podcast. That people can click a link and sign up just to have a discovery, strategy call or whatever you'd like. And I would love to work with as many businesses as I can because I want them all to become successful. That is my mission. Impact over 10,000 businesses this year alone.
Wow, that's an amazing goal. That's an amazing goal. I'll make sure to add all your details and the links in the episode description so that everybody can reach you easily. And it was really, really a great pleasure having you. I learned so much so far, and I cannot wait to learn more about what you do, and your expertise is truly amazing. Do you want to say anything else to finish with?
Well, Nina, I do want to thank you. I really appreciate you offering me and spending time with me today to be on your podcast. You have a great podcast. I know you personally. What you do impacts businesses, business owners too. What you do is really critical because I will tell you, in a lot of businesses, the first thing I have to do is, as John Maxwell talks about in his 24 leadership traits, is the
Mhm.
law of the lid and the belief lid. And business owners have to be able to raise that lid. And I know you have a phenomenal way of helping those business owners raise their belief list, and you have to do that. It's critical to get them going out of the gate. But I guess what I would say, if there's any businesses out there that have any questions or any problems you run into, and you feel like you're up against that wall, banging your head, I know I've been there. Give me a call. Cost you nothing. I don't charge anything for that. Let's have a 15, 20 minute just discussion about your business and see if I can't help you get you where you want to go. Because the end goal is financial freedom or total success. That's what I like seeing.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kyle, for being such an amazing guest today. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This is the Success Catalyst. I'm Nina Robert, and I will see you next time.